Hey everybody, welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm Michael Noland. Tonight I have a question for you regarding the Prague rock band. Yes, but before I get into that question, I want to show you an album I just picked up at my local record store, Asia, their very first album. Now, I love the first two albums of Asia. I plan on getting the second one down the line. But this leads me to a question, because you got to take a look at some of the personnel that made up this band on this album. You had John Wetton from King Crimson, you had Steve Howe, and you also had Jeff Downes from Yes, and Carl Palmer from freaking Emerson, Lake and Palmer. So here's my question. When Alan White died, why didn't Carl Palmer take over for him? It seems like a natural fit. Now, I know the first thing some of you are thinking is, but that would be more Asia than Yes at this point, and you do have a point there. But it's not like they didn't try to make this happen, folks. First of all, Carl Palmer, at the time when Alan White died, was still doing his tribute to Emerson, Lake and Palmer. So he was busy, but no doubt if he had tied up with Yes, the amount that they make at concerts would have more than made up for anything that he was making during that concert. Now, a lot of people will say, yeah, but it's not always about the money, Michael. Maybe he was doing that as a final departure to Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And I agree with you. That should have been done. But then later, why didn't he join the band? Well, at this point, while this was all still going on, there was also a contention with the band, and three different people were fighting over the name for Yes at that point. Carl Palmer didn't want to be part of all of that. And yet, even after that kind of subsided, why hasn't he joined? Which leads me to another question, folks. You see, Yes, with Steve Howe, Jeff Downes and company, are going to be out touring in 2026. So is John Anderson, and so is Rick Wakeman. My big question for this band is, why don't they pull their heads out of their asses and get John Anderson back in? They can keep all their current members. All right, we've had double vocalists before, and then bring on Rick Wakeman. All right, and everybody could find a way to do this. Think of the album these people could put together with the addition of Carl Palmer on drums. That would be a concert I might come out of concert retirement for and actually show up for. And I would even be open to a new album with that lineup. A massive lineup, no doubt, but not the first time for Yes either. What do you guys think of that idea? And what about Carl Palmer being in Yes? Is it a little too much Asia for you? Or does it fit the bill perfectly? All right, that about wraps up this video. I'm Michael Noland. This is The Bottom Line. I appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you would. It helps out in views. And always, folks, remember, we are the tribe.